evening, Mr. Sundram, Managing Director, Sundram Enterprises, Mr. Balu, Mr. Jain, and Mr. Barton, and my old friend, Mr. Karthik. Delighted to be here, ladies and gentlemen. It's late, and we've had about 7 or 8 speakers, so there's lots that, whatever that I was writing down had been said, but then it's never, the less, it's an opportunity always, whenever you get to speak in such an audience. I'm delighted to be here today, and the topic is very, very apt, the changing global environment. As I speak, there's a lot of changes happening around the world. Just yesterday, there was a big announcement on the climate change. But a couple of weeks ago, there was an announcement, many announcements which have been coming. I think the topic, design and manufacturing, if you have to look at it, design, manufacturing, and innovation is the best way forward. I think many times Steve Jobs has been mentioned today. My whole focus is on Steve Jobs. Not the name of Steve Jobs, but how you can divide the two names and get a much bigger meaning. Steve is innovation. Jobs is what we need in India today. So these are the two things. Innovation will create jobs. So Steve Jobs. So on this background, I'd like to take the next 15 minutes, which I would probably develop on many of the current topics, not only in India, but across the world. Having played my role in multiple businesses, including education, which we are very involved in as a group, there is a lot of challenges which we face and a lot of learning on a day-to-day basis. So when you talk about the background of the GDP going down is one, but then the industrial GDP, which is 14 to 16%, way back in the 1970s and 80s, we all know our forefathers would say that the GDP of manufacturing was something like 25 to 28%. Today we are probably 60% of what it used to be. And we all know that the jobs of manufacturing is far more greater long term than the jobs of services. Why is the services industry grown so phenomenally fast? Because of interest rates, because of ease of doing business, because of ease of starting a business. If you want to start a services business, it's probably you can start a services business within 24 hours. If you want to start a brick and mortar company, manufacturing, it will probably take you anywhere close to 100 to 150 days. With the interest rates of such high interest rates, which is very, very challenging for entrepreneurs. With all this, people of Bangalore, people of Coimbatore, people of Pune, and people of Bombay have fought through such great things and achieved the presence today. And we are on a runway today. I think Jayashree pointed out during her speech, the best is yet to come. Deglobalization in today's scenario is something which you can confidently say. Brexit was the beginning of it. America first came in later. But then all this is very, very, very important for us in places like Coimbatore, places like Salem, places like Mysore, places like Mangalore. That is where the growth is going to happen. That is where the new India is going to be. Not places which have already developed. We are proposing from the Bangalore Chamber of Industries and Commerce for the Karnataka government to have a BBBB proposal, Business Beyond Bangalore. We all know how Bangalore was and how Bangalore is today. Congestion is becoming a major problem today. The speed of traveling across Bangalore is anywhere between 4 to 8 kilometers an hour. So why would one want to get stuck in a city where you can hardly move? So we're trying to create businesses across Karnataka. But Tamil Nadu is very different. You already have businesses across Tamil Nadu. You have center of excellence hubs like places like Coimbatore, places like Madurai, maybe a little bit of Salem, and various other places apart from Chennai. So this is where the India is going to grow. This is where education today is phenomenal growth. Probably the government is looking at education reforms the last because the employability schemes which they speak about, which can be anywhere between 4 to 7%, which is alarmingly difficult to understand as an educationalist myself. Even if you improve that to 15% or 20%, will the industries take these people who are coming out of engineering colleges and colleges across Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, and southern regions? No, we cannot. There is no jobs in the industry, even if you have employability levels, if you have the skill levels, move forward, probably there's better jobs. But then the education, as and when you grow, that is why specific colleges like the PSGs, the VITs, probably SONA are far better in terms of growth and specific industry connect. This is where the differentiation factor is coming. The admissions are not coming in, the jobs are not coming in. So this is probably something that we need to take forward with what we're talking about, innovation. So going to the next topic, global economy crisis is something, Make in India, ease of doing business, EODB, that is something that we've been speaking, and the corruption factor. I was just seeing the mobile when there was a lot of presentations happening. I'm surprised to see that the imports have dropped by more than $5 million. I think 50 million is our average in 2016, 15-16. Now it's about 43 to 45 million, billion probably. That is because of the present government's move. That is probably also because of the dollar coming down from a 67, 68 to 63, 64. But then these are all encouraging words. We always talk about, if you Google and see, you'll find exports, exports, exports. But then the way we are is the imports. The imports is probably the biggest changing factor one has to look at. I think all of us in this room, I can say confidently, have smartphones today. The smartphones 5 years ago was not existing today. I mean, did not exist. Today, we're talking about an electronic industry which is probably catching up with the global imports of crude oil. So within the next 5 to 7 years, electronics will be more imported than oil. So this is something that we need to wake up and look at it. I think many presentations had chips, mobile phone technology, all this has been imported. Right from routers to, even Cat5, Cat6 cables. I'm not sure, I stand corrected, but I'm not a technical person on that line, but most of them predominantly are being imported. So where would you get jobs if you keep importing these? And where would our economy be? Why should we look at the world economy when we can create our own economy in this country of 1.3 billion people? So this is where I think we need to ask the right questions instead of expecting the right answers. So having spent the day at the exhibition in the morning, excellent work, I can say. Some of the things that you can see here is great innovation, but then not much of electronics. So if you look at electronics today, even your watches some of us are wearing today are all plastic and digital today. So digital and electronics is probably the game changer in the coming years. And this is where our focus also needs to be, because everyone wants things to happen much faster, much cheaper, the mobile phone you buy today, within 2019, you will not be holding it. You will be again buying something which will be probably more costlier than what you bought today. So that is where the world is going, and that is where India is going. Talking about this, we are all talking about products, innovation. There's a great emphasis on innovation. How would you project this out? How many of us are actually using the social media? I must say, I was very happy to see this program being marketed across the TV channels, national TV news channels. But I must say that the social media was not that much. I'm not sure if you had a plan, but then I did not see much of the social media. Maybe it's the social media. I was served coffee by a robot today at the exhibition. I took a video of 30 seconds and put that up on Facebook. So if you really see, there are more than 50 to 70 people who have liked it today. That is how the information has gone, right from just a simple, I'm a newsmaker myself. You're a newsmaker yourself, because all of us have mobile phones in our hand. So you can create your own news. So this is where the changing mindset, I think, in the morning was, earlier in the evening was spoken. So this is where, I think we need to really look at and start using innovative, cheaper ways of conveying messages and to the point. If I want to sell a certain product, I can sell it through a certain group on a LinkedIn, on a Facebook, or attract people from Instagram. So I'm not sure how many of us are actually using this potential, which is right in front of you and free of cost. So this is where I think we can probably relook at our things as a future. Percentage of interest drastically coming down. That is excellent for manufacturing. But then the inflation rate is an all-time low, 2.95 or 3.01. I'm not very sure, somewhere between the 2.9 to 3.1. All this is a huge capacity for us to start manufacturing, investing and manufacturing. I was speaking to many people in the recent past on manufacturing. The confidence levels is a big, big area. I think most of us in manufacturing are not very firm in putting more investments. The banks have a lot of money. They're willing to support us, but then we are not confident. So this confident levels of growth or the future is something that I think workshops like this and seminars, I mean the exhibitions like we saw in Kudesia in the morning, can really bring in a new mindset. I'm happy to note that many of the changes happening at the center is very, very good for businesses. The Army, for the first time, there's a platform called 515 is buying from the market today. They're the only purchasing company in the defense, and they're buying from the market. This is all Make in India will certainly move forward. So these are, I was happy to visit them in Bangalore, and I can tell you that the Army is very confident, defense is very confident of buying equipments from the market. This is probably going to be, again, a very interesting model because it's a huge, huge investment opportunity. I mean, huge, huge market opportunity for anyone to look at. And coming back to the Coimbatore, I think being a part of Coimbatore, being seen Coimbatore for the last 38, 40 years, it's always been a city which is very dynamic. Very, very dynamic. Way past in the 60s and 50s, it had the great education setup, it had great manufacturing setup. It is excellently located with global scenarios not affecting it. I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but then many of the cities have got affected because of various natural calamities. This gives huge opportunities for places like Salem as well as Coimbatore to pick up this and bring manufacturing back. And if you really look at some of the things which both the cities, both Bangalore and Coimbatore have, very similar. A huge amount of R&D, huge amount of manufacturing. Electronics is probably better in Bangalore, but then the kind of entrepreneurship, dynamism is very similar. So I think Coimbatore is very well placed to take challenges of a much greater height, to have more investments. The hub and spoke model, I think the speaker before me spoke, the hub and spoke model with the GST coming out will be the biggest game changer for manufacturing. The cost of transportation would reduce majorly when one invents a vendor management inventory, VMI, which is very, very prominent in European countries. So you would have the same vehicle carrying different products through a hub and spoke model. So this would reduce, like an Uber or an Ola, which will reduce the cost of transportation in a big way. But then that models can evolve and innovate in time to come. I think these are all things which certainly can make a big difference. And when you look at what the government can do, I think organizations like the Kudesia as well as other chambers certainly need to look at three major factors which is not touched upon at all. And these are some things which are stumbling blocks in our growth. The three L's, the labor reforms, the land reforms, and the legal reforms. These three are some things which we certainly need to have if we're looking at double-digit growth of the GDP. And I'm sure with time to come, the Steve Jobs model, innovation and jobs, will certainly take shape. And the globalization opportunities, deglobalization opportunities will be a big, big opportunity for India. This is probably going to be a very big thing, but are we capable of coping to reducing imports, increasing domestic manufacturing, maybe increasing exports? But then what is our plan for the future? So from innovation, we need to move to industrialization. The great Vishwesharaya from, we all know, industrialize or perish. So I think that is something that we need to bring back. Some slogans like industry needs to take forward, and then inspire, integrate, and innovate, and make in India. These are some things which I really feel will certainly make us go forward, and we are moving forward. India is in the right position, and especially we are slowly but surely looking at very, very good growth, both in manufacturing and in services. And I thank the dignitaries for having me here, and look forward for more and more companies to come forward and build industries and take India forward. Thank you. Thank you.
Round of applause, please. Thank you, Mr. And absolutely things to do.